Hello, my name is Corey Alfaro. I'm a student at Edgewood College. I also attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison and Columbia College for a period of time. I'm also a veteran, having served 6 years in the United States Army, so I have an idea of what it means to be a service member and a college student, and the interactions between the two. Today, I want to talk about mandatory military service. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mandatory military service and the United States Army. They don't really seem to go together. It doesn't seem to mesh. Those ideas and even the words don't really seem like they belong in the same sentence. But I'm here to tell you that there is some validity in the argument for a system in place for mandatory military service of the citizenry. First of all, mandatory military service. It sounds scary, but all it would mean is that everyone across the board would serve in one of the 5 military branches for a period of time. That's it. The period of time would probably be 1 to 3 years. Less than your high school time, less than a 4-year degree. It would be a period of time from roughly 18 to roughly 21 years of age. That's it. That's all it would mean. To me, this means equality, because across the board, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of family name, regardless of where you're from in the country or what you identify as, everyone across the board would have to serve in the military in some form or capacity for a period of time when they become an adult. This brings everyone down to the same playing field. Everyone across the board would be in a service, spending time with their peers, working together toward a common goal. Now, to some, this may seem like an infringement on free will, infringement on your rights as a citizen. To me, as I said, it seems like equality. It seems like putting people in a situation where they are made to work together. They're told that their countrymen are their peers. Their peers are their countrymen. Everything that is done in the service toward protecting America's values and working toward making America a strong nation between its service members and between relations with other countries. Everything is working towards building a collective sense of American pride. Equality and pride, to me, are very high in my values. And if you ask the vast majority of Americans, I feel like they would tell you that equality is pretty high up there as well. They probably wouldn't argue against a system that raises collective American pride as well. Another pro for mandatory military service is that everyone in the military gets free college as long as they're discharged honorably, which, unless you royally screw up, you're going to get an honorable discharge. You're going to leave the service honorably, and you will receive a GI Bill. A GI Bill pays for 100% of tuition and fees for 36 months, gives you a housing allowance every month of time you were in college, and you receive a stipend for books and supplies. Every service member gets this. Every one of us. If you served for at least a year and you got out honorably, you receive a GI Bill. Your college is free. Now, I know in this country we've had a lot of hubbub about tuition rates and student loan indebtedness, and we've even had presidential candidates talking about the student loan and for-profit college money-making machine. that education has turned into. This to me is a no-brainer. Everyone across the board is serving, everyone across the board receives compensation in the form of pay, health benefits, and free college. Along with equality, this would also bring access to a wider range of people. People that would likely otherwise not have access to higher education now have access to it because they served in the military. Now, some may argue that the military puts young people at risk. It puts them in life-threatening situations, and it takes them away from higher education or other forms of educational experiences that they would have from ages 18 to 21. Yes, it would. It would put you in situations where you're potentially in danger. It would take you away from the classroom. It would delay your higher learning. But learning is a lifelong thing. Whether you're 8 or 80, learning is the key to success and happiness and contentness. You're learning your entire life. If you're not learning, you're decaying. If you're not growing, you're regressing. So learning can happen at any time. As to the increased risk that faces young people in the military, we have free will in this country. We're allowed to do what we want. We're allowed to go skydiving. We're allowed to go snowboarding. We're allowed to do jello shots and run naked marathons. We're allowed to binge drink. We're allowed to jump off of buildings into pools. There's going to be risk in life. Why not have it be in a structured and controlled environment with professionals there to guide you through the risk and ensure that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that you come home safely? Why not do it in an atmosphere where you're surrounded by peers, making sure that everyone is doing their job and everyone is getting along to work towards a common goal? To me, it's a no-brainer. The third pro for mandatory military service is that it would ensure that we have a fighting force at full capacity at all times. We have a national defense that's structured and ready to go. There would be no need for recruitment efforts. There would be no need for emergency conscription or a draft. There would be no need for anyone to involuntarily be forced into service because they couldn't find an excuse or a mechanism of getting themselves out of it. As I said, a mandatory military service act or system in place would ensure that everyone across the board serves in the military at some point for a period of time. There would be no wealthy individuals buying their way out of a draft. There would be no people fleeing the country to avoid service. And there would be no need to resort to extreme measures to make sure that our ranks are full and that our country is protected. It may seem like either way it's involuntary, but if everyone across the board is doing it, then there's not a certain subsect of the country that's being forced into service more often than another subsect of the country. What I'm saying is, there are cons. There are downsides to the idea. But to me, the pros outweigh the cons in droves. our collective sense of pride and nationalism would be raised. We'd have a higher, more robust sense of equality. Education would be more widely accessible and less costly, if not free. And we'd have a better sense of what the military does, how they protect us, how we are protected from any sort of conflict in any way, shape, or form, and how everyone would be a part of that protection. Thank you.